Hello and welcome to the latest in Real Stories, our bite-sized format of Do More with Less. We're twinning our monthly Do More with Less interviews with marketing leaders telling shorter, punchier stories, highlighting the on-the-ground experience of individuals fighting to figure out how to do more with less. And today I'm talking to the CMO of Sensat, Jamaica, Lancee. Hi Jamaica, nice to see you.
Hi Mark, nice to see you too.
Thank you for being with us. Jamaica, you are a very special guest for us because over the last 3 or 4 months of introducing Do More with Less, and indeed Do More with Less Real Stories, this quicker, punchier format, we've had people my age, and I don't mind giving up my age on screen. I'm 50 years old. You are head of marketing to CMO, a journey that took place last year, is that correct?
That is correct.
At a Series B organization.
Facts, yes.
Head of marketing to CMO in an era of doing more with less. Tell me about the decision-making process behind that. Was that you? Was that them? Was that agreed? Like, how did that come about? That's crazy.
It came about from a want for parity. I come from an era where, why can't I do that actually? And if I don't ask, I might miss. So you probe, you ask, you do your beginner's political move of trying to probe if there's an appetite. And I found there is an appetite. But by just being here and trying to insert yourself in different things, because you're Series B, there are so many different threads pulling you, just doing things and getting things done. And if they don't go well, you report that back, gives people the trust that you're up for the task. And so here I am, 1 year later, and I can't believe it's only just a year.
And this is your first time as CMO?
Yes.
Okay. Now, how long have you been at the company? And tell us a little bit about what Sensat does.
So I've been here short of 4 years. Sensat is a infra tech company, Contact. We are digital twin for complex infrastructure projects. So think building transmissions lines from A to B in the UK and in the US.
So when somebody wants to put together new gasworks, waterworks, railway lines, and they need to figure out exactly how it's going to go without spending the money first, they come to you and you produce a digital twin of their entire infrastructure project with all the detail and complexity loaded in to give them full visibility, correct?
Correct. But in reality, you don't just deliver an infrastructure. There is a whole heaps of planning that take place that a lot is currently offline or in different sort of softwares. And so we're trying to be, in a modern sense, usable for everyone. So that gives a level of flexibility that is not seen before.
Great. Thank you for sharing. So coming back in a second to that experience you're having as first-time CMO and, by the way, CMO in a economy and a world that we haven't experienced before with the whole what the fuck is going on. Tell me about what marketing looks like in your world. Is that infrastructure and infratech piece suffering or is it booming? Like, what's the kind of, just so I get a sense of how much you're having to fight to do more with less. Is it like Jamaica have all the budget you need because we're rolling in it, or is it really, really, is it really competitive?
It's, okay, so first of all, is there appetite? Yes, because it's very politically adjacent what happens in the infrastructure. And so do we need more housing? Yes, we do. So you have these grand projects that you need for just security as a country. So there's loads of appetite to build a lot, but you also have an aging workforce. You need to do more with less in the infrastructure scene more than ever. And so the only way to actually get those outcomes, you need to innovate. And so Sensat does that for them. And so we are growing our platform and what we do with the needs of these companies that also require innovation to get their projects delivered. In the world of marketing, I think I'm releasing more budget as we go, but it's definitely different than it was when I came into the marketing scene, where you just have big pots of money and you put ad spend on it and you see what comes out of the funnel. That's not the world that I operate in. So over the past 4 years, you kind of have to prove one step at a time that we know how to sell to these big companies. These are big logos. You can't just do a
What type of customers do you have, just to give us a sense of who you
So
speak to?
customers like National Grid is a huge one for us. We also work with Severn Trent Water. So these are really, Northumbrian Water, these are really big companies. And so in order to whittle your way in, it's no longer here's a need and you toss it over the fence and you pray sales picks it up. It's much more sales tell me where you go, and I will support that with the right foundational information I require.
What kind of channels work for those guys? Is it relationships? Is it, and therefore a bit of ABM and a bit of events and a bit of networking? Is it more about, yeah, okay.
So this is the interesting thing. I think because we need to do more with less, we need to innovate how we do things, but the channels foundationally are the same. I need to shake a hand with you before I can set a deal of however much money.
And is that you shaking hands with somebody and then making an intro, or is it you setting somebody up with a salesperson or an infrastructure person?
It's when we go to events, it's just showcasing the product, because one of the challenges that you have is it's so innovative. You kind of don't know what it does, but it looks good. And once you see it and you apply it to your own environment, people go, oh, I want it. That you kind of mostly generate with events, because people go to events and trade shows and they want to be influenced. So they are open-minded. If you try to do it with just good old SEO and ad spend, it's really hard to hit that mark right. So you then have to do ABM to customize it as far as you can to make people recognize, oh, I could use it for my projects. So I would enable the sales guys who just know how to sell best. But there are also social events where I'm just friendly and I just chat and then go, this goes way beyond my knowledge. Here's someone who actually knows it. And I just sort of wiggle out of the room. And that's a good place to be, I think, as a marketer.
And what's the level of resource you have behind you?
So in terms of team, so currently, I started the year with 0 because we were sort of re-scoping, refiguring out what to do. Currently, I have a team in-house of 2, about to get the 3rd one. That is ABM, that is demand gen, and that is BDR, which is very interesting because do you know of any marketers that have BDRs under their wing?
No, but I think I've always felt they should.
So we're doing it. And so now I'm learning that side of what does tossing the fence actually mean? The fence is now moved. Does the fence even exist still? So I'm changing the remit there. But then there is a whole slew of fractional support that we have. So we have PR specialists, designers, event management. And so the wing underneath it is much bigger. But
so your model is keep it tight in-house, but keep it absolutely vital. Yes. But then spread your wings when you need to with trusted advisors and partners.
Yes. I think what I've learned, and this whole fractional way of getting work done is something of this year. And so in this year, what I've learned is it changes a little bit the way you do business, because your responsibility keeps growing with all these specialists, but you can't really put the accountability on a contractor that still sits with you. So you have more responsibility to brief very accurately, because the output of your fractional people are only as good as you can brief them, and scope is your nemesis. So it's been fun to see the machine working and to communicate with people what they think they are doing every day. So you need to now figure out, when does the point come that you need to get it in-house? And so you put that on the brief with fractional to say, look, can you document what you actually do day to day? Because if we want to scale, what's that tipping point?
Okay, firstly, you're amazing. Secondly, how on earth did you... So let me ask you a question. You moved from head of marketing to CMO a year, 4 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Was that about there being a CMO need, a CMO role to fill? Would it have been filled, for example, by somebody else if it wasn't you? Or was that, frankly, Sensat understanding that it needs you and it wants you and you are right for the company, and if you deserve a promotion, it might as well be to whatever it is you want to ask for, because we need to keep you in-house? Like, has the level of responsibility changed? Are you now getting SLT or boardroom access? Are you involved with the series funding, the investment rounds? Has it actually moved, or is it just the same job but they needed to get you in or keep you interested because of who you are?
So I think it definitely was the latter, because when I when I joined, we had a CMO. They then left. I had a beautiful maternity pause, and then I came back to a different company with a CRO. And so the moves were not as clear. But with those changes that just keep having people leave, people go, I just wanted that promotion, and I got it.
It feels like you thrive on greater responsibility, on deeper access.
Right. And what I alluded to earlier is all you need to focus on is getting things done. Because a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, but actually getting it done is a whole other game. And so as I'm trying to get things done and I set out plans and some of them fail and some of them succeed, I get more responsibility. So back to boardroom access and credits crowds. Not really, because we never really heavily invested in marketing. That's now coming because of the results that we're making. So we're increasingly
there wasn't the right investment in marketing previously?
I would say no. I think we were very sales-led, rightfully so because of the complexity. So we were still trying to learn how does our ICP actually engage with purchasing software like this. And so switching on the marketing engine wasn't the wisest of moves. Now we kind of have those learnings, so we're switching it on. And with that, you get more questions and you get more accountability that you need to portray back into the board or back into your your peers.
Would you accept credit for helping shift Sensat from a sales-led process to a marketing-driven process? Would you say that you've been a part of that move?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I think where my strength lies, at least that's what I tend to say at Sensat, is I'm a good, solid center back. I am not someone who's in front of the team making the goals. I love hanging in the back.
Are you, just to be clear, as a Liverpool fan, are you Virgil van Dijk?
You could call me Virgil van Dijk. I also do love a little good shoulder movements, pushing people about. But only if you come into my zone. I don't necessarily need to be somewhere in the front. And I've always been like that. I did sports and I was always that girl in the back. And I love building up. And so if you are that person, you have to find what your credit is. And so my credit at Sensat sits at why are you doing the things that you're doing? Explain to me. Because by giving someone the time to explain their whys, first of all, you help them clarify where they're going, but also it helps me translating that back into marketing. And yeah, I found that that's my credit. I don't know if I get a lot of it, but I think it's worth.
Okay. So look, as I said before we started talking on the record, my sense is that Do More with Less, an era of pushing us all to figure out this incredibly difficult conundrum, is having an effect on the way our functions are structured.
Yes.
Firstly, a lot of us are finding ourselves in hugely rationalized teams where numbers have gone missing, heads have gone missing, and that means there's lots and lots more responsibility for younger, talented, skilled people coming through, being given a pathway a lot faster than people in my generation were given, which is great in a sense. It's really great. I also see, like yourself, I see incredibly articulate, incredibly strategic, skilled CMOs coming at an age where probably I don't think my generation would have considered ourselves ready. So I see you as one of a bunch of real shining lights out there, and I think it's amazing. I think your stories are amazing. Tell me this: since you were made CMO, have you at all had time or reason to regret the move? Are you enjoying every minute, even the hard times, or have there been lonely nights, Jamaica, sitting crying into your dinner?
No, because I just don't operate that way. As in, I can't let it go. I am a notorious writer, so I just write it off and then I'll just forget it. Future Jamaica's problem. But I will say the mantra that goes through my head quite often is trust the process. Just trust it. You always will have those down moments where, it's absolute chaos. And then it converges. And when it converges, sometimes it converges exactly where you thought it would be. And sometimes it's way off. But either way, it comes and goes in ups and downs. And so, it's hard work to always start new things and always try to iterate on something that is first and you don't have the data. So there's a lot of bets that you're making. But once you understand assumptions are required and you just need to have a backlog of assumptions and upgrade them as you grow, you're surprised. I think you'd be surprised with how much people are willing to support you. Because if you get things done, they know you will get things done. And if this is your process, then people accept it. Final note on it is the responsibility of a CMO in my environment, I think, is avoiding the idea of a black box because of how investment scenes have changed. What you do not want is just a bunch of money coming in at one end and then parading what comes on the other end, and they have a black box, and that's called the marketing machine. That is my worst case scenario, because if I keep working like that, I will never get more money, because then it's a very linear way of thinking. But nowadays in how people purchase software, it takes longer, it's more complex. Sales is much more important for us than just good marketing. And so you have to create a window into your black box. And that's what I'm trying to do constantly.
Wow, that's cool. And it just similarly, you said earlier that budget gets released incrementally as you prove business cases.
Yeah.
Are you patient? Are you a patient person? Does that suit your nature? Or does it conflict or sort of rub up against either your personality, which needs to go faster, or does it rub up against pressure coming in from sort of above? Is it okay for you to go incremental? Does that work for you?
You have to, because otherwise you become a silver bullet believer in where I am, and they don't exist. Even if I wanted to. Am I patient? Not really. I mean, I am not 51, and so
50. I'm 50.
I'm 50.
No need to add a year. Genuinely, no need to add a year. Literally a month ago. It doesn't matter. Let's go.
Erase it on the record. No, but in the sense that I'm a little bit, I think, naive at the pace of things, especially now that we are growing in complexity. Things take a little bit more time, where in the past you would just do things and see what comes out. So I'm learning that. But what I do tend to do is, okay, so if you want to increase growth of a certain key account, that might take 18 years because that's how the customer works. But it doesn't mean that we can't put all sorts of milestones in between. So back to that, creating a window inside of a black box, you have all sorts of milestones that are indications that you're going to achieve your goal. And that's what I do to make sure that my patience is satiated.
Great. Do you think that your generation, perhaps, or the sort of the new emerging talent coming through is in a good position to handle the genuine uncertainty of marketing outcomes and promises now? Because I'll bet you, I don't know if it's necessarily true, and I don't care one way or the other, but I'll bet you would imagine that marketing back in the day, 10 years before you started, was just easier. Like there was more money, there was more options, whatever. In the world you live in today that you've described, do you think potentially putting trust in younger people with a different mindset is actually a decent strategic move, just because of the way you have to embrace the uncertainty and figure things out and problem solve?
Well, yes, but that's just because I am of that generation. So if I wouldn't believe it, I'm in a pickle. But I will say that from the people in my business with more experience, very well put, there is a level of being able to sort of take a step back and look at it and utilize the experience to kind of understand where the actual problem sits. That is invaluable for Sensat. And so, yeah, it's great to get new ideas and people that try to tackle known problems in a different way. But having someone that has done this a couple of times and can look at it from a different angle and take experience into account is what makes us move faster. So I would always argue you need both. But what I find is that they think if you're a marketer, you're some sort of generalist all-rounder all the time.
Yeah.
It's a bit of that, a bit of what's the brand? And you kind of go, there are specialists. And so as a CMO in my environment nowadays, you kind of need to also have some hard skills. Because it changes so much and so fast that if you don't have those hard skills, you kind of just rely on others. And we're so, not skeleton crew, but we're so core. You need to have an opinion about certain things in the marketing scene to get the job done.
Yeah, I always wonder. So I wrote this piece on LinkedIn the other day about how I feel being Gen X in a world of AI, and the stuff that we have had to learn and go through historically, socially, culturally, economically, and the transitions we've had to make, which represent huge jumps in everything from culture to technology, from the days in which we grew up and were almost trained to do a job for a world that doesn't exist anymore. I often think that there is a proper two-way education process going on. I think my value in the current climate, certainly with evolving technology and new products and tools all the time to optimize absolutely everything from, meetings to tying your laces. I often find the things I'm valued for are that step back, that strategic look, that pause, and that different way of thinking. But like I said, I feel refreshed and educated by people younger than myself absolutely every day. Like I don't know what the world is like for people who work in industries and companies and jobs where everyone's the same age. I get such an enormous amount of perspective from working in industries populated heavily by people younger than myself. So I think there's a two-way education process there. I wonder if I could just trouble you for one last thing. I wonder if, let's just say that my earlier theory is correct, that there are three types of young marketer right now. Those that are being promoted with good reason, fast, quicker than they imagined, and they deserve it, but they're thrown into an absolute whirlwind of new responsibility. Those that are frankly over-promoted too quickly, and they don't really know what the hell they're doing there. They didn't ask for it, but it's come their way because jobs and teams are reducing in size, and let's get rid of 150 grand and let's give it to this youngster who's earning 80, And then those that are just not even promoted at all and given, they're layering responsibilities on these young people, which could be a blessing, but also can be really, really tough mentally, professionally. I wonder if you have any thoughts or advice that you would give to a whole host of different young people who feel, wow, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And how the hell do I start solving this one? And am I good enough? And should I not be older? Like, where's the experience? Where's the kind of the internship? Where's the apprenticeship? So as somebody who's doing some amazing things and carries an amazing weight of personality and perspective in a heavy industry, what would you say to your peers? Like, how would you advise them if they said to you, "I saw your interview"? Could you? How do you get it done so well? Like, what would you say?
Let me think about that for a second. Okay, well, it begins with, it is more than okay that you don't know something. You are learning, and if you take that approach, it gives a lot of freedom to say, that's new information, or, help me understand, because you are young. And that's not to say that you can't do the job. You're just on that journey of learning new things, so take it as it comes. That's one. 2, every single problem in marketing in where I now live is very complex. And if you start untangle it, you go, oh my God, I don't know where to begin. Which thread do I pull? If you're in that situation, you can utilize all your peers to understand what they want from this problem, to figure out, is it an immediate problem? Is it a long-term problem? Use your peers to learn what this business wants to solve. And then with that learning, pick something and commit to it. So, for example, when I started really selling into these big companies, we were just praying that sales would do the job. And so what you then do as a marketer is, okay, pick one account that you're going to commit to as your big project and learn how to sell and make some sort of a stab at where you think it can go and what you're going to do, and just do it. And then at the end of the stab, if you like what you do it for 2 and just slowly build, because they can find a more expensive marketer that probably can do that job and identify it much quicker, but the work still needs to be done. And so it's okay that you need to learn as long as you proactively communicate what you're learning and where you think the opportunity lies. And that transcends to nearly every single problem that I've seen so far. There are big problems you can break down. You do long-term projects and you do a couple of short-term projects, because if you do ABM that lasts 18 months before you see a good result, then do a couple of quarterly projects as well, so you at least feel that you're delivering. And if you can find that balance, you feel very satisfied.
Wow. Jamaica, Lancee, I'm afraid that I'm sorry to say that we've come to the end of our podcast and my opportunity to have this conversation with you, but I have enjoyed every minute. I think you've got an amazing heart, an amazing brain, and with not that you need any kind of bloody endorsement from me, but I think you're in a brilliant, brilliant place. So good luck and carry on. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark.
Perfect. Take care. Bye.
Bye.